Boy, do we have a show for you today. Tell them, Christian, how good is this show?
A 10 out of 10.
We are going to reflect on 2023 and talk about what our biggest lessons were. It's vulnerable, it's honest, it's real, and we invite you to be a part of that conversation. And then there's a bunch of fun stuff in the news. I talk about going to the LA car show and much, much more coming up right now on Service Drive Revolution. I went to the LA Auto Show.
Okay. How was that experience for you?
What car companies do you think, car or truck companies do you think were not represented there?
Okay, so we're going with the not it list.
It actually might be quicker to do the it list, but let's try the not.
Let's try the not list first. Okay, I don't think...
This creates an interesting outcome too, by the way.
Okay.
Like, it has an effect on who is there. So I had early ticket, so before they opened,
Okay.
So we walked around, and then it opened.
So you got an exclusive, was it hours before everybody else got in, or was it a day before?
I think it's hours.
It was hours before, okay. So my first guess, the brand that's popping out in my head is Ferrari.
Ferrari was not there.
Okay, good. So I'm 1 for 1 already.
Ferrari used to be there.
So if there's no Ferrari, there's probably no...
By the way, in the press, they were saying 7 exclusive launches and...
new model launches?
Largest auto show in North America.
Yeah, they hyped that
all
thing
this
a little
hype.
bit. It was the biggest one since 2019.
Yeah.
Considering they probably didn't have one for a couple of years, I don't know if that's a big feat.
So who else do you think wasn't there?
Okay, Jaguar.
Yeah, Land Rover wasn't there either.
Okay, Jaguar Land Rover wasn't there.
You know what's funny is I didn't even think to look who wasn't there until I got there and nobody was there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and go on a limb here and say no Benz either.
Bentley or Benz?
Benz.
Neither.
Okay. So
no Rolls Royce.
Anyway. No Bentley. No Aston Martin.
Nope.
No Bugatti. So no exotics.
No BMW.
Lotus. No BMW.
No BMW.
I like BMW.
No Audi.
Okay, no Audi, then no VW?
VW was there.
Okay, so there was a Volkswagen. All right.
So then you just had Toyota, Ford, Chevy, Subaru, Kia, Hyundai,
Toyota.
Honda, Toyota,
Nissan.
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
So then what do you think that does to the audience that attends the car show?
Completely changes it on a demographic status would be my guess.
Yeah. You think it's lower status or higher status people?
Lower status.
Yeah. Do you think it was packed?
No.
No. It's pretty dead. My experience of the LA car show before, there would be press conferences and it was a big deal. Everybody was there. It was the place to be seen. You'd network, make a lot of connections. It really did feel like a swap meet. So the downstairs part, or the part that used to be exotics, were people selling banners and...
Oh, not even direct car things, just marketing tools?
No, if you wanted a, Volkswagen flag or a Matchbox car, it just seemed it was just a swap meet. You know who is at the front of the car show? Outside? Before you walk in?
The Goodyear blimp?
No, a car company.
Oh, good Lord. I'm not very good at this game. Hyundai.
Tesla.
Really?
You literally could test drive a Tesla right that
and buy it there, which you couldn't do with any other.
Yeah, you could buy it on an app.
That's funny.
Right in front. They didn't have Teslas inside. They were all out front ready to drive.
Don't bother going into the auto show. You just buy the Tesla here. Good Lord, those guys are different.
And they had ones that were wrapped and they looked cool but you could You could drive them.
That Model 2 is not too far down the road. The one that's going to be 26 grand. That's going to make a big splash, I think.
It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting how much of a letdown it was.
Tesla's in my news today.
Oh, let's go right to the news then.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry that there was a letdown. I don't know. I probably should have gone, but I don't know. I needed to do my hair that day or whatever. It wasn't the highest priority.
You didn't miss anything.
Yeah, that's true.
I literally wanted to go pretty quick. I couldn't believe, like, yeah, I was there 20 minutes and I was like, oh, this is a joke.
Yeah.
With that being said, what's in the news?
I thought this was interesting. This is our friends at Amazon, and Hyundai just entered into a car buying agreement where you can buy a Hyundai on Amazon Prime next day delivery.
Like, it shows you the inventory and everything?
Yeah. So it's the big part of it is that the inventory has to be current. The only thing you can't do through Amazon is if you want to test drive, you have to go to the dealership. But otherwise, the dealer is just the vehicle by which to go pick up the place. It's like the Amazon Prime location.
So basically, it prints out an invoice like in the kitchen, and it's like, make meatballs with spaghetti.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, stock number blah 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 is sold to this person, and then
Financing's already available through Hyundai Finance.
So do they give the dealer any of that, or they give them just a flat, or how does it work?
It sounds like doesn't it sound like a fleet deal is what it reminds me of. But yeah, so Hyundai Capital is at the immediate financing option, but they're going to have other financing options adding to it. But it looks like the dealer will get a delivery fee. That's fascinating, isn't it?
Does it say how much the delivery fee is?
No. It does say that Amazon Alexa is going to be, the exchange there is that Alexa is going on Hyundais starting in 2025. So Hyundai's going to give them the cars and Amazon's going to give them Alexa. Good Lord, that's crazy.
Okay, do you want to talk about our big lessons for 2023?
Let's look back.
So reflecting on 2023, this was an interesting kind of dialogue that we had about this.
Yeah.
I think.
Very.
So I asked you, I said, what do you think my biggest lesson of 2023 was? And you said that it was think bigger.
Yes.
And why did you say that?
Because I've heard you say that a bunch of times.
Oh.
I need to think bigger.
That makes sense. Because I said it. That's why you thought
many
it.
times, not just once.
Because I said it many times. That's why you thought it.
And then you'd say think bigger, and then you'd think bigger.
Oh, so I said it and I did it.
Yeah.
Wow. It's interesting.
I pay attention in class sometimes.
But I don't think that's I think that plays into what my biggest takeaway from 2023 is, reflecting back, looking back. But I think it's expectations.
Okay. So you should unpack that for the audience.
Well, it goes left, right, north, south. Because it drives thinking bigger, right? That's a part of it. But expectations, in a sense, are kind of the key to happiness, right? Because if you expect, like, let's say you expect somebody to do the right thing and then they don't, what happens?
You're let down, you're disappointed.
Yeah, are they?
No.
No.
It's just you.
And then if you reflect on it, did you ever really have any evidence to point to the fact that they were going to do the right thing?
I would actually say that if looking back on almost every situation,
there's
way more evidence that the outcome is actually what was going to happen.
Yeah. So it works that way, right? It's like you just assume people are going to do the right thing. You assume people are going to understand. You assume people are going to...
Well, really, you can replace the word expectation with assume. And we have jokes about assuming, like, right? Assuming is that you're going to make a blank out of you and me.
Yeah.
And like, I remember you saying one time, it wasn't me you were talking to, I just happened to be in the room when you were talking to someone else. It's like, you're like, I know when I say that we assume that we're about to make a huge mistake. And really, if you replace expectation with assume, it just means that you're just getting ready to make a big mistake.
Yeah. Okay, now what about people that are entitled? Like, what do you think about people that are entitled? They feel entitled to something.
Well, they've got their own level of expectation that something should happen for them.
And then when that doesn't happen, what happens?
They get depressed.
Yeah.
And then they shut down.
And then was there evidence that thing wouldn't last forever? Like, we talk about this all the time with service managers. There's like a 50% turnover in that position. How many times when a service manager gets fired do they go, oh yeah, I knew that was going to happen?
Regularly.
But more than not,
yeah,
they're surprised. It wasn't their fault. Oh,
I think that a lot of service managers, you have to point it out to them afterwards, but then they're not surprised. They might be surprised in the moment, only because they assume a social contract that they won't get fired.
Yeah, but they're entitled, right?
But you could make a list of all the reasons that they got fired for, and it's like, that's, they might have waited a little while, too long.
Yeah, and then your expectations of things drive your effort. They drive your ambition. They, like you were saying, think bigger. Like, if you... so another example of this is like us building this library and the leadership book and all the stuff that we've been working really hard on the last couple of years. How many times did I say to us as a company, like, it's going to be harder than we think, it's going to take longer than we think, and it's going to be more expensive than we think?
Many times.
And that's an expectation. So if everybody thinks it's going to be easy, if everybody thinks it's just going to be handed to us, if everybody thinks it's going to be on time, then we get complacent, we feel entitled, and we get blindsided, and then we run out of money, or we get caught flat-footed, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. We just gave that advice to somebody not too long ago, was go into it as expecting it to be way harder than you think it's going to be, and then at the worst, you can be pleasantly surprised if it's not harder.
Yeah, but
that's totally okay. But it's probably going to be harder than you think.
Yeah, you're going to run out of money. It's going to, and the world is going to test you right when you get to where you think the hard stuff is over. It's going to be like, just think about the roof leaking, like all of the stuff that happened at the worst time, right?
The main thing I think about that is that the coaches and the travel, like how hard travel is. And I don't know that we ever have properly conveyed that to anybody.
Well, isn't it funny that we tell coaches when they come in, we're like, hey, it's really hard. And like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. I hate my wife.
You can set a clock.
I don't want to be home. Whatever.
Set a clock to 4 months.
And then all of a sudden you want to be home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for them.
So that, to me, like, expectations are like this prism that comes in many different forms and angles, and maybe is the key to everything, because the one like counterbalance to expectations is self-esteem, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody has low self-esteem, what is their expectation?
That it's all going to be a mess.
Like, if you say to somebody like, hey, what is your goal for 2024? And they have low self-esteem, what are they going to say?
I don't want to get fired.
But is the goal going to be low, or is it going to be high?
It's going to be low. Yeah.
Why?
Like, they just want to survive.
Yeah.
Because they don't think they're entitled to anything more.
And if they tried to do something and failed, it would be an indictment, and it would be confirmation that they're a failure, or they're not worthy, or they're not good enough, they don't belong, right?
Yeah, would you say that that's kind of the punchline to expectation jokes, is that we oftentimes expect too much out of others and not enough out of ourselves?
Yes. I think that's very insightful.
I just came up with that.
It's good. Smart. So then if you have semi-healthy self-esteem, what sort of ambition do you have?
To be at the next level financially, professionally, socially.
And how do you handle mistakes or things taking longer or,
As lessons.
lessons, right? And then if you have low self-esteem and you expect somebody to do the right thing and they don't, how do you process that internally? How do you digest that and work it all out, connect the dots?
Oh, so for me, what I do is I say, what could I have done to set that table to make that happen?
No, I'm saying low self-esteem.
Oh, I'm sorry. Low self-esteem is that it just happened to me. I'm a victim.
Yeah, it's not my fault. These people are stupid, whatever
Right.
it is. But meanwhile, you were expecting something, even though all the evidence was that the train was leaving the station and you thought the train was going to wait for you.
Yeah.
But the schedule said it leaves at 12 o'clock. It always leaves at 12 o'clock every day. And then you thought for some reason they were going to hold the train for you, or the person was going to show up on time, or they were going to pay when they said they were going to pay, or right? Like whatever it is.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite Chris Collins-isms is people are trying to tell you who they are. We just don't want to listen.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that reminded me of.
But when you have low self-esteem, you take that as an indictment, and then do you want to try again?
No.
You get
wanna-
more conservative.
Yes, way more conservative.
You get more closed off.
Playing not to lose.
Yeah. And so then do people with low expectations seem more closed or more open?
Open.
People with low expectations seem more open?
Of themselves or other people? I'm sorry.
Just
maybe I should-
to life.
Oh, I feel like the lower I set expectations of the world, the more pleasantly surprised I am. So I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like
No, I agree.
so I feel like I'm more open.
And people with high expectations,
It's got to be their way or the highway. Or you hear
Yeah, they're more closed.
like perfectionists would
Yeah.
have high expectation.
they get paralyzed.
Yes.
They're paralyzed. They don't know what to do.
And that 98% sucks somehow.
Yeah. And they run into one obstacle and they give up. And then it was the economy. Yep, you're right. People are stupid. Whatever, whatever it is. And so playing with expectations and my own expectations, and then understanding self-esteem, and then maybe the last one is, if you have a healthy self-esteem, how long do you hang out with people that aren't productive, that are negative, that are closed?
No, you try to get it away from you as
Yeah.
fast as possible.
But if you have low self-esteem, you love hanging out with people like that because it confirms that the world sucks. It confirms that everybody's stupid. It confirms that it's impossible to succeed.
Yeah, misery loves company.
Yep.
It's the Monday morning general manager calling all the other places in the auto mall when they had a bad week. Just try to confirm that it was the market. It couldn't have been them that did something wrong.
And then the expectations of yourself. Like
Yeah.
the thing I'm trying to do is expect more of myself. And that makes you work harder. We were up pretty early today, and at lunch today, Missy goes, "Are you tired?" Oh, I don't know.
It's not an option.
Yeah.
Right?
Does it matter?
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't matter. So that's mine is expectations and playing. I've been playing with that a lot in trying to understand others and understand myself. And I feel like that's the pendulum, and self-esteem is the weight.
Yeah. I think that's really easy for everybody to translate that into their own reflection back on the year. Like, what did you expect to happen versus what did?
Well, it's interesting because you can tell somebody's self-esteem in a sense by what they expect, right? So like say you have a service manager and you're talking about, hey, the best general managers are service managers, and you see them just gloss over.
Yeah, they don't perceive themselves as the best service manager, so then they think the comment doesn't apply to them.
Right. Same thing when you pay somebody a compliment and they squirm or they don't know how to take a compliment. That is a little insight into that same sort of architecture of beliefs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I know that's probably heavier than everybody was interested in, but it's an honest answer about my biggest takeaway from this year is playing with that.
So for 2024, as you think about the year coming up, what do you need to do differently than in 2023?
I don't know. That question catches me off guard because I feel like 2024 is pretty much charted out for us. Like, I just need to perform.
Okay.
Like, that's just kind of how I feel. Like, I need to
It's go time.
be more effective. I need to be more alert. I need to be more charismatic. I need to be a better person in the front of the room. I need to engage with people more. Like, it's just the thing that's in front of me. I just need to do it better. Like, kind of like what we were talking about this morning, right? I need to just be more involved and not leave anything to chance. That's it. Like,
yeah, that's another lesson is the more times you leave stuff to chance, the less reliable your results are.
but that's an expectation.
Yeah.
Because when you're leaving it to chance, in a sense, you're saying,
You're making
oh,
assumptions.
this is going to go, okay, I'm going to get lucky.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get lucky. Nobody gets lucky.
No.
The problem with getting lucky is you start to get entitled and you start to think, oh, that's how it is. But that's not how it is.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Don't you kind of feel like it's charted out? We just have to perform? Like, the book is coming out. Like, the library is done.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely execution time. So it's the time to get there's no mystery in terms of what has to be done. It's the taking what has to be done and making it past tense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. It's good.
You haven't said yours.
Yeah, I'm curious if you agree with what I thought.
Well, tell everybody what it is.
Yeah, so
This conversation is kind of interesting because this is more me and you talking, hanging out. This
way
is how
more
we
like
talk
there's
when we
not
hang
a
out.
bunch of people
but
listening.
we're not really talking at the audience. Like,
yeah, it's just us. They get the sneak peek.
we might listen back to this and think it's.
Yeah, one of the things I think that that I don't know if it would surprise people or maybe not, but I think at the core of it, I'm a pretty nice person, and I care deeply about how other people respond to things. And with
you would get hit by a car to make somebody laugh. Like, you're the most selfless person when it comes to self-deprecation at the enjoyment of others, or if you can make somebody laugh or make them feel comfortable, you literally will jump in front of a car for a laugh.
Yeah,
Not to the point Chris Farley would. You have a healthier self-esteem, or I don't know, healthier.
maybe fear of pushing too far, right? To where like there's consequences for I'll do anything.
Yeah, but there can be a self-hate. Like, there's a little bit of self-hate.
Yeah, like he was on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah,
at the end.
you're
of the
not
day.
that.
Yeah.
But you very much want other people to feel comfortable.
Yes.
You very
Have
much
fun.
want them to have fun. You want them to feel included. You're really good at making them feel included, and you pay attention. You're paying attention to them. You're in the moment. It's rare that, unless you're really upset about something, it's rare that you're not paying attention to what's going on. That's a very rare thing. And it's very rare that you're in your own head. It does happen, but when it's happening, it's probably meant to happen. It's not a casual coincidence.
Yeah, and I don't live in it for sure. Like,
yeah,
I'm
you're
not
trying to get out of it as soon as you're in it.
Yep. So I'm not down for 3 days if something didn't go the way it was supposed to.
Yeah. So just to kind of set the frame, you care very deeply about how people feel. You want them to feel good. You probably from the time you were very young were the class clown.
Very young.
Yeah. We have that in common.
We were both.
I was the
funniest.
class. I think you were the class clown on purpose. I was the class clown accidentally.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things is that you were horrified when you got voted funniest.
Yeah.
Whereas I was campaigning.
I got to find that yearbook and show you.
I'd love to see it. But when it comes to some of the difficult conversations, I probably have I need to do a much better job of coming straight through and telling it, and not trying to tell something in a way that is going to hurt someone's feelings less. Or really, at the end of the day, the telling the truth is what they really need, and I'm trying to sugarcoat it. And I just need to tell the truth more directly. So
the biggest lesson for you in 2023 was you need to tell the truth as a default.
And every time I told the truth in the hard situations, the results got better dramatically faster.
And I would contend, tell me if I'm off, when you tell the truth and somebody is shocked or surprised, the other part of you kicks in and you can help them work it out. You can help them connect the dots. But when you're trying to help them connect the dots, navigating the fact that there's this elephant in the room that you're not talking about, it ends up getting off track. But when you say, hey, there's an elephant right here, and then they're like, well, God, I'm scared of elephants. You're like, okay, well, tell me why you're afraid of elephants. You can help them navigate their fear of elephants. But if you never address the elephant, it's all a bunch of kind of masturbation in a sense.
Yeah. And then you're fixing the wrong things, but you're not fixing anything because it's the elephant that you need to take care of.
Yeah. I think that's a very honest answer.
And I'm very much a work in process.
The thing that we would say is it's a Midwest thing. Yeah. Like the thing we always tell coaches is when we're helping stores in the Midwest and you've been there and you're working really hard and you're getting along with everybody and you assume that the manager and you have like a connection and you're doing good and you go through the list of the things that have to be done when you leave and then you follow up later or you come back a month later or whatever it is and the things on that list weren't done, and then you ask them like, hey Christian, why didn't we put the menu in place or the pay plan or whatever it is, and they will say I didn't think it was a good idea.
I decided not to do that.
Yeah.
But with
and then
you're
like, well, why didn't you tell me that a month ago? And you're like, oh, I didn't want to make you mad or whatever. And it's like, it makes me mad that you lied to me, and I assumed, I had an expectation that you were going to do what you said you were going to do, and meanwhile, the whole time, you never told me what you really, and I could have helped you through that.
Right.
But now we've wasted a month. And that's something the coaches always get blindsided by that, and it's a Midwest thing. You don't run in New York, they'll tell you, no, I'm not doing that. I think it's stupid. But for the most part, the coasts, it's a flyover state thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And to the advantage of let's take the New Yorkers, for example. In a lot of cases, you can get results really fast there because you tackle the thing. And when you leave that store, there's no concern about what's going to be done or not be done.
No, they'll tell you if they're not going to do it.
If they're not going to do it, you address it before you leave and walk out the door.
Yeah.
So
it's a Midwest not wanting to break an egg, but also it's the long way to success.
Yeah.
It takes a long time.
Yeah, and I think at the end of it, it can be super because what happens, and I'm sure that some people probably relate to this, is that like when you don't tell the truth and then you have expectations and like they're not being met, and then you start to bubble up a little bit because you're getting frustrated, right? And it's like, well, I'm not telling the truth, but I expect them to fix it anyways. and you're like, you think you've left them enough breadcrumbs to figure it out on their own. The whole time I'm just getting more and more upset or frustrated, and then it's kind of like a overreaction, and it goes
passive
too far
aggressive
the other way. Yeah, that's one thing I really need to work on is passive aggressive. I need to not.
But that's an outcome of not communicating and telling the truth.
Yeah.
Because if you say how you feel right up front, or you say how you perceive things right up front, there's no chance for you to get, because there's no chance for you to get passive aggressive, because passive aggressive behavior comes from you holding it in.
That's right.
It's passive, which is holding it back, right?
Yep. So I think that that's the outcome that I want, is to be able to spend as little time on a problem and solve it as possible. Like efficiency is, I think about efficiency all the time. As we grow as a company, our efficiency matters more and more than it did. Like 2 years ago, we could not be efficient and still do a really good job. And then a year ago, the start of this year, I thought that we could be a little bit inefficient but still kind of move forward. But now there's coming to a point, like there's just a little less and less margin for error. So if we're going to give 5 minutes to something, we've got to get something out of it. It's got to be a big lever, everything that we pull.
Yeah.
So intentionality is another lesson of 2023. I talk about that with the coaches a lot. Intentionality goes right with telling the truth.
Well, intentionality also is part of the Chris Collins leadership scale. You have locus of control and you have intentionality.
Yeah.
And those two, if you own the outcome and you're intentional, you really can't be stopped.
Yeah. I really like the absolution level.
But if you, so this is actually in the leadership book, but I don't think you've seen this part yet.
Probably not.
So the leadership scale now has 4 quadrants. What happens if you have high locus of control but no intentionality?
Poor results.
Martyr.
Oh, yuck.
Think about it.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing. I'd almost rather blame the outside world.
Well, then you're down in this quadrant.
Same results.
Oh yeah,
Basically.
Same result, basically. But you're a martyr.
God, the last thing I want is for people to feel bad for me.
When you're feeling bad for yourself, nobody else feels bad for you.
Yeah.
They're just they're placating you.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. That's interesting. I haven't seen the 4 quadrants.
Funny, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
It's good. Okay, so that's our lesson for 20.
It was the most unique look back on 2023 ever. We didn't do a greatest hits or anything.
We'd be curious to see your reflections on 2023. What was your biggest lesson? And so Christian's was telling the truth, and mine was expectations. Playing around with the expectations of myself, others. How does that interact with self-esteem? And, how can I be more effective by having higher expectations of myself, but not assuming or feeling entitled of others?
Good.
Great stuff. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.